Hey, what's up guys? So let's take a look at both how you can update the firmware on your Viofo A329X series dashcam to add new features and fix bugs as they release software updates for the dashcam, but also how you can switch between the different models of the A329X series in case you want to actually change which of the add-on cameras you've got connected to it. Now, why might you want to do that? Well, let's say that, for example, you buy the A329 single channel only, just for front recording. Now, if down the line you want to upgrade and add the rear cam to it, you can always go buy it separately off Viofo's website and then plug it into the dash cam, and now you've got front and rear recording. Additionally, you can always buy the 2-channel version out of the gate for front and rear recording. That's going to be the A329S version of the dashcam, and because it's the S, well, at any point you can go and buy the optional interior cabin cam and plug it into the A329S to get a full 3-channel setup. Now, what happens though if down the line you decide you want to add the optional telephoto camera to your A329S? Well, out of the box, it's not going to work because that dash cam is only designed to add on the cabin camera. And if you try to plug in the telephoto camera into the A329S, unfortunately, it won't work. However, Viofo has actually now given us the option to switch between different models. And so if you buy the A329S, you actually have the option to change the firmware version that's loaded onto the dash cam so that it can support the telephoto cam and effectively change an A329S into an A329T. Now, for those of you who don't need to switch models and only want to update the firmware, you can skip the model switching part, which we're going to cover first, and then just go straight to the firmware update process. It's basically the same process here for both of the different steps. Basically just download a file off Viofo's website, put it into the dash cam, and let it start up and update itself. But either way, let's go ahead and dive into things now and take a look at the process here for both changing and upgrading our new Viofo A329X line of dash cams. So we're going to start here first with our A329S. And if we take a look at the dashcam settings here, as you can see, we've got the option here for the dashcam's optional interior cameras. We can configure the interior cam's fisheye mode, and we can configure the LEDs for the interior cam as well. What we don't have is the options for the telephoto cam. If we go into the version option, you can see that we've got the A329S firmware loaded here into the dashcam, and our current firmware is version 1.1 250613. Now, what's nice is that with all of the A329X series model, let's call it, they all actually have the exact same hardware. That's why it says A329 here and not A329S TWW or anything like that. They're actually all the same hardware. It's just different software that's loaded in. And we're going to be switching this over to the A329T. And we can also just quickly note what firmware version we currently have loaded to see whether or not we need to upgrade here in the first place. Additionally, it can also be a good practice to do this process here with a freshly formatted memory card. So we're going to go into System Settings, then we'll go to the Format option, and we're going to go ahead and format our memory card. Obviously, this is going to erase everything that's on the memory card, so only do this once you've got all of your video footage, important footage actually backed up and pulled off the memory card first. Now, to update your dash cams, you're going to want to head on over to Viofo's website at viofo.com, and you can go up here to the top to Support, and then Firmware and Manual. And then we scroll down here and we're going to click on this gray button here for firmware. You're going to see a list of a bunch of different dash cams here where they have all the different firmware versions. And so if you've got the A329S and all you want to do is just update to the latest firmware, you can check right here to see if there's a newer version that's available. Currently, this is the version that I have loaded into the dash cam, but if there's something newer that's now available, you can just click over here at Download, grab this firmware update file, copy it to the micro SD card, put it in the dash cam, and it'll update. Pretty straightforward. You can also see the changelog right here where they'll post any of the improvements that are made here with each new firmware version. The second file down here is going to be if you want to change between different firmware versions. So if you've got an A329T that you want to change to the A329S, you're also going to download this file. Now, in our case, we're going to want to go over here to the A329T because we're basically going to be changing an A329S to an A329T. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and download this loader file right here. So we're going to download that. And we're also going to go over and download the new firmware update file for the A329T as well. So we're going to download this here too. And down here in this area, they've got the instructions for the whole process and what you're going to do. Basically, you're going to want to download the 2 files above like we did, put them both into the root directory here of the card, and then just basically power up the dashcam twice to update. And it will first switch model numbers here. And then second, it's going to load in the firmware. And so now heading over to our downloads folder, we're just going to select both of the files. We can copy those. Then we'll head over to our micro SD card and we can paste those 2 files, again, right into the root directory here of the micro SD card. If you're only updating the firmware, you're only going to need this one file. If you're also going to be changing models, you're going to want the second file here as well. Then we'll take that micro SD card and put it back into the dash cam, and then we can plug our power cable back in to go ahead and start the update process. Now, if you're doing the model swap, this first boot up is going to be a little bit weird. It's going to look like it just boots up normally and nothing happens at all, and there's no update or upgrade process shown on screen.
Recording. One channel started.
And if we go check the software version, as you can see, it still says that it's got the A329S firmware loaded. So it's going to look like it didn't work. And so next we're going to go ahead and power cycle the dash cam here a second time. So we're going to power it off here like this, or you can unplug the power cable and put it back in. But this next time you power the dash cam back on, it's going to go ahead and upgrade the firmware, and now it's going to go ahead and switch model numbers. And if you're doing just the firmware update itself, this is all you're going to see the first time you update the dash cam. So this weird first time it doesn't do anything is only when you're doing the model switch. Every other time it's just booted up once and it'll update the firmware here just like this. You also may want to give it a little bit of time to initially power up. Sometimes it does take a little bit longer when you're doing this process. Then once it's done, the dash cam will go ahead and power cycle itself, and all of your settings have been reset. So now we can go over here. We're going to choose English. We'll choose whatever time zone we need. Okay, miles per hour. It asks if you want to format the card. Sure, why not? And so now when we go take a look at the software version, you can see we now have the A329T firmware loaded on. And we have the latest firmware here for the A329T as well. And just to confirm, we can go into the dashcam's video settings, and now we have the option here for the front telephoto camera where we can configure how this functions. We don't also have the option here for the infrared LEDs because there are no IR LEDs on the telephoto the way they are on the interior cam. And so yeah, that's a look at both how you can update the firmware for any of these dash cams, or how you can switch between the A329S and A329T. And down in the video description, I'm gonna put links to the different dash cams, to some of the add-on cams if down the line you wanna add like the interior cabin cam or the telephoto or the rear cam or something. If you only bought maybe like a single channel or dual channel version out of the gate and later you wanna upgrade and you need to add some of these other cameras and do some of the upgrade and switching process as well. So anyways, that's a look here at the entire process. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys are all doing great, and I'll see you in the next one.